Hello, hello, awesome tribe. Welcome to another solo episode of the ATA podcast. Tuesday is what? Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. Another round of solo session. Happy to get back with you guys. And it's so funny. Just before I clicked on the live. I was just fighting with because you guys don't see it because I got a couple of lights here, just working on my lighting for my office setup, and there was a moth just flying everywhere, going from light to light. And I basically, just before I click live, I was just gonna smack it. It just came over in my face, and I was just like, I love animals, but the moth was interfering with the broadcast. But this is neither here nor there. Um, Hope you guys had a great day. Hope you guys were good. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing. Hey, Alex, and wanted to jump on. I know it's late, but I think this is when, like, the wife is asleep, the kids are asleep, so I'm just taking time to just like recap the day. And I wrote it down in my notes today, talking about what I wanted to talk about today. And for me, there was just one word that really came back as I thought about um, growing up with my kid brother um, back in Haiti. My brother and I shared a room for a really long time. And I realized, like, he had one half of the room, I had one half of the room. And for some reason, one of the things that always came back between me and my brother is like, yo, bro, like, I love you. I cherish you. I will always be my brother's keeper. I don't mind you taking my stuff. I genuinely don't. But please put my stuff back. And growing up, my sister will tell you this, my mom will tell you this, my dad will tell you this. I was kind of anal in bars of how my stuff was like set up, but don't I wouldn't call myself a neat freak. It's just that if I set up my desk or my comics in a certain way, I don't mind you coming in. A lot of people might think like I was OCD. It wasn't OCD. I just like my stuff a certain way. I was always really kind of really organized, and I like my stuff being a certain way in my room. So my brother and I would really be at odds because he'd borrow my comic books and just leave them hanging around. And believe it or not, it's something I still carry to this day. I'm a little bit less, aggressive about it because I was a kid and I realized, I'm 42 this year, so I am giving myself some grace and giving myself a little more room to breathe. But my kids know this, my wife knows this, and the reason I brought this up today is about, one word that came up to me in my notes. It was about standards. A lot of times, whether you whether someone you know, but we're talking about growth and we're talking about being along our journey. It's something that for me really matters. Standards are the measure by which you teach others how to treat you. All right. Whether you are in a work environment, whether you have a family environment, you are required to either adhere to or set certain standards for yourself, for your employer, for your spouse, for your kids, for your clients, for your brand, for your podcast. You need to dial in the fact that standards are required of you. You need to know, what are you about? Okay. How far can I push you? What is your breaking point? What is a non negotiable for you? And these are little items that I invite you to think about. Because if you don't have standards, people will set them for you. And lo and behold, people will overstep, people will abuse, people will take advantage of, just because you did not create an environment where your standards were made very clear. Um, Other story, really particular with growing up as well. Back in the day in Haiti, when I was a kid, house parties, especially during the summer, house parties, birthday parties, especially when you're a teenager, you just go to house parties, a lot of house parties, right? And of course, my parents weren't idiots. Of course, they knew what teenagers do. You go out, grab a few beers, get drunk, have fun, everything. These are stuff that happens, and this is not their first rodeo. So they know they're raising teenagers. But what was always fun about my father um, is because he set the standard very early. There will be no alcohol in this house. If we're having a party, you can invite your friends, you can chill out, You can do whatever you want. We'll have snacks, we'll have drinks, we'll have pop, like we'll have soda, we'll have everything and everything, which we did. But as far as the younger people were concerned, as the younger crowds were concerned, no alcohol. And it would always be weird because we'd be going to other people's houses and they knew that we would drink at other people's houses, at other party, right? But if we invited people over, no such thing. And this is Haiti, right? Where parents know each other, kids know each other, and some parents were really loose. Like, yeah, kids of 16, 17, like, sure, like have beer and stuff. There was no shame in that. It was great. And my father was not part of that mentality where he was like, you know what? I know that you probably drink, and I know that your friends probably drink, but under my roof and under my supervision, and within the time where they are at party at my house, if they get on the wheel and crash and burn as they're headed home, I will not have to bear the conscience that they got drunk under my supervision. If they want to do it between my house and their house and wherever they want to stop, I don't mind and I don't care. That's as far as it goes. But past that gate, they're no longer my problem. It was kind of harsh because a lot of times everybody knew coming over to my house that my father wouldn't play. My father would not accept, back in the day of where all the guys used to have cornrows, right? At a certain point, even one of my best friends, when he started doing that, like he can't show up in front of my dad with cornrows in his hair. But that's another story. But I digress. I just want to talk about standards, how standards were ingrained in me very early, because these are very few and far between. My father didn't have like a laundry list of rigidity, but he did teach me about discipline. And I guess the word standard trying to bring forward here is also about discipline. What type of discipline are you bringing towards yourself? What type of discipline are you bringing towards your environment, towards your workspace, towards your colleagues, towards your spouse? What are your standards? By what measure are you teaching other people what you're about? There are, and again, everything is malleable because we are individuals. You can't be too rigid, but you need to be clear. Clarity is very important in regards to your standards. There are things that you will tolerate, and there are things that are non-negotiables. You need to know. You need to grab a nice piece of paper and understand what are the negotiables, what are the compromises, and there are the non-negotiables. I will not budge. I will not budge on this. My kids know this. My wife knows this. My friends know this. There are things that I'm about, and there are things that I'm not getting into it. I'm not doing it. Don't ask me. Don't Let's not even have this conversation. And I'm a great conversationalist. You guys know this. That's why you're here. But why I thought the importance of bringing this forward to you guys is because, unfortunately, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We say we want whatever it is we want, but are you willing to set a certain standard for yourself? Whether the time you wake up, whether how you speak, whether how you show up as a friend, how you show up as a colleague, how you show up as a parent, how you show up as an individual, the time you put into whatever venture that you want to commit to, if at all. What types of books are you going to read? What types of shows are you going to watch? What types of shows are you not going to watch? This brings up another example. This was very cool. Again, standards. There was a time where I used to binge watch on Law and Order SVU. And it got to a point where I watched so many episodes, which is where I'm always very careful in telling you guys, be careful the type of content that you ingest. And I watched so many episodes at a certain point, every time, over time, you'd walk out into the world and you're like, you see child abusers everywhere. I'm like, this isn't cool. I know it's TV and I know it's only entertainment, but at a certain point, I realized that, I will not watch certain shows anymore. you know? And it's nothing against the show, it's nothing against the actor, it's nothing against binge watching, it's nothing against media, you know? But I set a standard for myself. Like, I will no longer watch certain shows. I will no longer watch certain films. I will no longer watch certain type of content because it serves me no purpose. That is my compass. That is my standard. I What other type of example I want do I have? I got plenty. It's not about me. But I invite you to recognize these moments of clarity for yourself. And it's okay if you don't have it all figured out, but it's something I'm not here to preach. I'm here to guide because it's important for you guys to understand that, you know what? You have a lot of accountability that is in your hands in regards to how you shape and build your path. And your rigor, your discipline, and your standards are a very integral part of it. How you choose to show up. Who are you? Or what type of person do you want to be? And this is a great comparison you can do as well. This is also a great exercise. Again, pen and paper, grab the pen, grab the paper, draw a line. Okay? You have current you and you have anticipated you. Okay? It's anticipation. We're building momentum towards a certain type of identity. Like left lane, left column is current you. And again, right column is anticipated you. And then write down all the qualities of anticipated you. What type of individual do you aspire to? Okay? And that is your blueprint in comparison to current you. What does current you do? What should current you be doing to achieve or to reach the level of anticipated you? All right? When they tell you that future you should look forward to meeting you also about the standards that you set. Future you should be grateful for all the work you're putting in. It's going to take some time. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take a very clear set of standards. And standards, yes, do teach people how to treat you, whether in the workplace, because it's personally happened, where a colleague basically got up in my face. And it was one of the very few times where I actually got up and I lashed out. And I said that this will not happen. You have absolutely no right to speak to me that way. If you want to go out into the parking lot and talk about it outside the office, I'm more than happy to. And I think we should. But just understand that you are out of line. And I don't care if this is the last time we talk to each other within this workspace, but you are out of line, just so you know. So let's get this settled right now because this is not going to stand. I don't need to call in HR. I don't need to call in boss man. We don't need to have a moratorium. We're going to go outside. We're going to talk about it. You need to set standards. Whether my kids are yelling, like, look, you're allowed to feel the way you feel, but you're not going to ruin supper for all of us. You can go to your room. Standards are standards because you have to know what it is that you're about. I cannot put it any simpler. Standards are the measure by which you teach people how to treat you. All right. So I'm more than happy to hear you guys' comments. What did I miss anything? If you agree or disagree, what are your type of standards? What do standards mean to you? Give me an example of what type of discipline you apply to yourself, even if it's what the time you wake up at. What are the standards that are non-negotiables for you? What constitutes a compromise? Can you be too rigid? Can you stay the very same person for years on end, or do we leave space to change and be malleable? What are the type of conversations that get us to shift? Because that's also allowed. I'm more than happy to hear what you guys. So whether on Instagram or on YouTube or directly on email. You guys know the address, awakeingyawesome@gmail. Just check in, just let me know. And if you like these episodes, let me know as well. Like, drop some comments or drop some ratings on the platforms. I'm going to try to make more of these because I do enjoy doing the solos. There are a lot of episodes with guests coming up, but the solos, as you know, are really informal. So there's no production. There's no big. They're a lot easier to push out as well because it's just me pouring my heart out. And sometimes I think that that's the best way for me to connect with you guys because that's something I've been lacking on. I've been slacking off on for a while, and that's basically what fuels this podcast is the people that check in, but it was important. So have some standards, set them, write them down, but use those tips, that column that I talked about, current you versus anticipated you. And if you want to share, like, grab a screenshot of, like, what current you and anticipated you looks like. Again, just send it to me on Instagram. I can post it if you want. and you can do a couple of comparisons. So yeah, hope these few musings help. It's kind of late, so I got a little bit of work to do as well. The audio for this one's probably going to show up tomorrow in on the RSS feed, so look out for that. Any which way, we're closing up. We're closing up really close to episode 200. Few surprises, but let me tease you guys just for a little bit right now. Any which way, love you guys. Stay blessed. Stay safe. As always, do. Stay awesome.